Welcome to Barn Connects, a podcast about creativity and community. I'm Jen Hemmingson.
And I'm Abby Wyatt, and we're the marketing team here at Barn.
And today we're talking with Uday, Patil, and Pallavi Bhargava, a couple from Michigan who spent the last year exploring Barn and living here on Bainbridge. And this is a really fascinating conversation.
It is really cool. They are kind of living the dream of they basically packed up their lives and went, hey, we want to go try cool stuff for a year. And we were very lucky that they happened to pick Barn. And we've just been excited and honored to have them basically here pretty much every day for the last year.
Yeah. If you have been in Barn in the last year, you have seen them, guaranteed. Uday makes flutes. He's a monitor in the tech lab. Pallavi has sampled all of the studios. They're both currently teaching cooking classes. Yeah. So I don't think that there's anything they haven't tried. And
no, I think they've been in all 10 studios, which is really a feat in 1 year.
Yeah.
It's a big thing to do. So
yeah. So let's get to it.
Yep, let's do it.
Do you want to say your first and last names for Abby?
Pallavi, Bhargava.
Uday, Patil.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for spending the time today. Really appreciate sitting down with you. You are fixtures here at Barn. Let's talk a little bit about how that happened. How did you find out about Barn? You're not from Washington State, correct?
So we had this vague notion of let's live on the West Coast for some time. Okay. And we came to visit our friends here, one in Seattle and one on Bainbridge Island. We have two very good close friends. Came and stayed there for a few days, and then just were looking around for a place to stay for the future. Then our friend here brought us to Barn. And the moment we saw, we knew this is where we wanted to be. So we went back home, quit both our jobs, sold our home, and put some stuff in our car and drove across the country.
Wow.
And rented a place here all within 2 months of seeing Barn.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was it that made you say, I need to be here?
You want to say?
You can go ahead.
We had been thinking about, we need some change. We're not sure what exactly and when. And how we didn't know how quickly we would take that decision when the time came. But the Barn visit just precipitated that whole move. So, yeah.
And also our son finishing college, finding a job and moving away. I think that was that was the right time that we felt we could make this big change.
Yeah. And I particularly did want to explore the possibility of staying in Seattle for some time as part of that change. Mainly because I wanted to explore trekking around there. There's a lot of trekking options. I've done some trekking there. But since we moved here, we haven't done one serious trek.
Oh, no. Barn totally hijacked our entire time.
Yeah.
It was no regrets.
Yeah.
In fact, we did a few treks when we were here last spring for the conference.
Before we moved,
when we made the decision. But after that, just very few.
Because we know that Barn is completely unique in the world. There are a lot of little studios, but not this much of the spectrum of studios available at one single place. Right? Mm-hmm. You want to do wood, and you go to one place. You want to do glass, you go to another place. If I have some project like my experimental musical instrument that may require wood, flute, or the 3D printer or glass, then I think there's no place like this.
That's great. Yeah,
I have met so many people, especially in the fiber studio, and even few in glass. Yeah, I mean they have just taken me under their wing. Like, why are you helping me like that much? Like, how can I deserve so much, love?
I always had lot of ideas that I wanted to work on musical instruments, different ideas, and at home, you need a lot of setup, and you never know what else you need because it's kind of prototyping.
Sure.
So this is a place I knew would have like a million times more than what I could have at home, and that turned out to be true.
So when you came to Bainbridge, how did you find it? What have you thought of Bainbridge so far?
Well, I was sad about, not so much sad about leaving work, but leaving our garden behind. But I tell Uday, whatever flowers and plants I left behind, we found them somewhere, like across barn. The black-eyed Susans are there, and then the New England asters bloom. And then where we live, our rental home. So there's almost all the flowers that I left behind, that's there, and so many more. And I like to watch birds, and it is just unreal, surreal to think that there are bald eagle nests, which we can see from our home, and of course from the yard. So Bainbridge Island offers so much natural beauty. Just added to the magic of being here on the island and in Barn.
So what was your first day like?
First day here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we had done a 9-day drive via Canada.
Okay.
And we hadn't seen the home that we were going to live in for the next 11 months. So it was a pleasant surprise. We arrived here, and I think 13th July was the date, and 14th we were here. We became members.
I've been here almost every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Uday, knew that you wanted to work on musical instruments.
Yeah.
Pallavi, what was your plan?
I had made a long list a few months ago, but I had no idea what I'll end up actually learning. But there are far too many things which I never dreamed. For example, weaving or making marbles out of borosilicate or
Pouring metal.
casting in foundry or welding to make the wacky tacky.
What has that been like? Has it changed? Because you're a doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how has this sort of like experience changed you, or has it?
Yeah, you feel very empowered. That's one thing. Other than the joy of creating, which is happening on a daily basis, a lot of joy in heart is what I would say.
That's great. Uday, talk about the musical instruments. You played flute for a long time, is that right?
Yeah. I've been playing flutes as well as making flutes. I made flutes out of PVC at home with handheld tools. Now I'm making similar flutes, but with machinery with more precision and with more ease and better outcome. And also tried doing the same thing with wood. It's awesome. I use the router, I use the CNC, and did some more experimentations, which was possible here, which was not possible with handheld tools at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also been working on an electronic musical instrument for a very long time. I have some more technical ideas there. Yeah, it's coming along.
Have you learned anything unexpected through this process? Like, what has it been like doing it in a community?
One thing is projects always take 4 times more longer than your projected. Yeah,
So it's not just
time.
me.
Yeah, not just you. Yeah.
Okay.
And what I really learned here was how helpful it is just to be able to talk about your ideas to someone else and get some feedback. And many times get new ideas back to where you're stuck somewhere. That's absolutely essential compared to just working on your own. I think that makes a huge difference.
What kind of a new material for you, or had you done a lot of woodworking in the past?
Not a lot. I'd done a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's definitely new material for me.
And both of you guys come to the first Tuesdays, the show and tell. Talk about that. Like, how do you choose your projects? And what is it like standing up in front of a group and just explaining what you've been up to?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. First of all, it's a pleasure showing and telling what I've been doing to a wider audience, and just talking about it in a not very technical detail, but general for a general audience. It really is, gives you a perspective to yourself.
Interesting.
What you're really doing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you get bogged down in little details. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So it kind of changes the way you think about the project a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I'm used to sort of public speaking when you give lectures and stuff, so not one bit nervous. But yeah, I do take a lot of pride in showing, even though I know there are experts like way beyond, what the little skills I have learned here. I feel I feel I'm really at a, beginner level for everything, sewing or embroidery or, but one thing which is very special, last several months, I started learning Indian classical music. And the studio where we are sitting, so Uday and I find time almost every Monday between 1 to 3. I take my lesson here. So I practice before the lesson, then follows the lesson, and then Uday joins me. And I think hearing your voice in this lab with such good, what do you call it? Resonance and what's the other term? Good acoustics. So I used to not like my own singing voice when I would record, but we decided for Barnes' second show and tell, we'll record something together. So Uday played the flute and I sang, and then we recorded that, and that was one of the things we did for show and tell, which was, and I liked how I sounded, so it was very enjoyable.
I was there. It was beautiful. It was such a great surprise, too, because when we think of barn, we often think of tangibles, right? Like you walk away with some thing. Mm-hmm. But the sort of learning, and I love that you like your voice now.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that I found here, which was very much unexpected, was many of the workers here are beginners at what they're doing, yet they do a fantastic job, which is also true with myself and her. It's, you always, before you try something, you always think that, there are highly skilled people and there are artists and they've been doing it for life, and that's how they do it that good. But if you jump into something, you can, pretty much everyone can do a fantastic job. I think that's, very encouraging. And
it's hard to be a beginner as an accomplished adult. Both of you have, careers where you know what you're doing and you're good at it and people recognize you. And then you're like, well, I'm going to learn how to weave. And then all of a sudden you're back at square one, or I'm going to learn to work, really work with wood. And you're kind of like, what was that like, that experience of being a beginner? Was that exciting? Was it frustrating?
No, I would say never frustrating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exciting. And good thing is we're not in our full-time jobs at this point. I think that's very important.
Okay.
We're giving our 100% to this. And however difficult the job is, the more difficult it is, the better. It's a more interesting challenge. And that's how we see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we were short of time, then that probably would have been frustrating. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll take lessons about learnings about being a beginner moving forward? I mean, because you're kind of rounding out your year here.
Yeah.
And so you'll make some kind of a shift. Is that right? Or
in a couple of months, we'll be leaving Bainbridge Island.
Okay.
And with an indefinite plan after that. We may, in the future, come back. Barn is definitely an attraction.
Has it changed? Has this year changed what you thought you wanted? Are you looking at your future differently now than you were a year ago?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'll miss practicing infectious diseases and talking to patients, comforting them, teaching fellows and residents. But I don't. I mean, I don't feel less of myself or the fact that I'm not earning. I do keep in touch by attending like a weekly case conference. Um, but yeah, I thought I'll definitely miss work, and I'm just pleasantly surprised I don't. So I don't think I'll ever go back to full time work wherever we live, or whether it's India here. Um, this side, the creative side, is going to stay
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. Just to add to that, what I find is not just pleasure; it's deeply satisfying. This kind of doing things with your hands and creating something.
Right.
And we're going to continue doing this for life, rest of our lives.
That's great.
Not necessarily give it full time like we're doing now, but
Yeah, I just wanted to share. We have very sweet neighbor couple, and our landlady is super sweet. So the neighbor, he just said, if you take pictures of Sue's flowers, it'll make her very happy. So I decided to do that, and I had no idea what it'll end up to be. So I had never even laid eyes on an embroidery machine. So both of us had actually started with embroidery machine orientation first, and then so Uday converted the picture of her nasturtium flower into an embroiderable file. What did you use? Inkscape?
yeah.
And so I embroidered her flower on a pocket of an apron. So I designed and sewed an apron, like a gardening apron, for her with her flower, and surprised her. So just seeing the surprise element on her face and the happiness, nothing can replace that.
That is such a thoughtful gift. I
Yeah.
literally just got goosebumps when you're describing that.
The issue is she finds it too pretty, and she hangs it on the wall, and she refuses to wear it. And then her husband brings his torn shirt, like something exploded on both sides. And he said, "Can you fix it?" And now, having access to everything at Barn, there's no way I would say no.
Yeah.
Of course, I can fix anything. That's the spirit. So I made a patch, which went inside the sleeves, and then I bought iron-on patches, and then we actually drew using was it like a fiber
fabric marker
fabric.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, fabric markers. He is a woodworker, so we drew a hand saw on one side and a hammer on the other.
Mm-hmm.
And finishing that was very, like, just a lot of fun. Finally, it took 2.5 days from beginning to the end. And I think half the barn knew about me repairing neighbor's shirt. And now he shows it off. He takes off his jacket and he shows people his shirt, and he's very funny.
Oh, I love that. You're describing like a different relationship to things than maybe we're accustomed to, right? Like a shirt becomes something very special and something to care for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's they are so special, and I mean, him feeling comfortable enough. I mean, he barely knew us for a few months, giving us that to repair, and then me taking upon the challenge. Yeah,
That's really cool.
Mhm.
Uday, you're sharing skills like that in the tech lab, right? Like you're a tech lab monitor.
Yeah.
What has that been like for you?
It's amazing. So I don't have any particular interest in any particular lab as such. I don't have deep interest in wood or fabric or anything like that. Right? I want to make some things, and whatever is useful to whatever part of my product, I go to that lab, and right. So, but tech lab has been the most useful for me so far. That's how I ended up spending more time there. There's a 3D printer, and my work is like partly art and partly engineering. Yeah, so tech lab is very helpful. There's electronics there. There's a very fine soldering setup with microscope and
A lot of people with a lot of ideas too.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. So you have just a couple months left? That's not fair.
Can I say something?
Please do, yeah.
So when as you enter barn each day, so we typically enter from the front entrance, and you see people's quilts and artwork displayed, and you're maybe not he's not the kind, of course your pendulum ended up
Yeah.
at a prime place, but my goal was you have to create something which deserves to be displayed there. So pretty early on, I did Bob's class, making a wacky tacky, and I used bicycle chain as arm, so it became sort of versatile. It can move around, and I think Abby in the office thought it was good enough to be displayed there, so it spent a lot of time there. Somebody had placed some parakeets, very colorful birds. The table that keeps giving, our barn table. So I had picked up those, and I had put one of the parakeets on that arm of my metal wacky tacky. So that was a very proud moment for me to have it there.
Yeah.
And then Amy in the paper and print, book and print art studio, she taught me to make flowers. So it was I think it was straight 4 hours of making different flowers. And my flowers look more tropical, and hers, she says, are like Pacific. I mean, we were using the same technique, same tissue paper. And then I just, barn let me do that. I just placed my flowers here and there, and my sunflower is on the front desk. So that makes me very happy.
I didn't know that was yours. That's beautiful. What has it been like being a couple who's done this together?
So the original plan was I quit the job. He was allowed to work in Washington State, like work
I was allowed to keep my job. I'm a software engineer, and she's a doctor.
in Michigan
Yeah.
and work here.
Yeah.
But definitely him and I doing this together, which is him not working, actually has worked out great. Because I don't know if I would have had the inspiration and enthusiasm each day to be here. So
Yeah, I think we are definitely enjoying our time together a lot more and a lot better. Like we are singing together these days, which we never did in the past.
What advice would you have for somebody who's thinking about making a big change like this, or tapping into their creativity after years of just sort of taking care of business? Like what would you say to them?
that if I can do it, anybody can.
Yeah, I think she's right in a way, although she said it in a humorous way. But most people don't realize what they can do if they jump into it. And seeing some examples of what people have done, especially as their first projects, I think would be very, very compelling for anyone just thinking about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you see glass artists here and their fused glass work, you think you cannot get there. But I think there are classes that are offered, and there is help available in open studio sessions that you can reach that level if you keep at it.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I know that both of you have been a huge inspiration to people around Barn. Seeing you around, getting to know you, your curiosity, your excitement. It's been contagious. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's been really special having you guys here. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks a lot.
Barn Connects is recorded in the Media Arts Studio at Barn on beautiful Bainbridge Island, Washington. Barn is a nonprofit home to 10 maker studios, classes, creative community, and events. You can find this podcast online at bainbridgebarn.org by subscribing to Barn's YouTube channel or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform. Learn more on our website, bainbridgebarn.org.